2-seeded Celtics versus 7-seed Nets, man. I saved this one for last because I'm kind of torn, man. I love the culture that the Boston Celtics have. I love Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and I love Kyrie and KD as well too. There's a lot of variables, right? First and foremost, we don't know if Benson. Well, we think Ben Simmons is going to be a part of this series at some point, whether it's game 3, 4, or 5. But he hasn't played in over a year. I mean, it feels like over a year. Obviously, he has some back issues he's battling right now. But I don't know what's going to be expected out of him. If he's going to go into the game and he pulls something and he's just not non-factor. So you're going to have that mindset until he plays that he's not going to play as well, too. I feel like with Robert Williams going down, now there's rumors that he can come back in the series. I just don't want him to rush it to as far as longevity goes as well, too. They don't really have that much of a threat as far as rim protection. They just have Al Horford and Tice, really. So my thinking is the Nets, from an offensive standpoint, attacking in the paint shouldn't have a problem as well, too. But there's a reason why the Celtics are the best defensive team in the league. And it's crazy, like a lot of people after watching that playing game with the Cavs versus the Nets, they're like, oh, Kyrie and KD played great, but they barely escaped as well, too. I mean, that's how it is. You can lose on any given night as well, too. So I'm curious to see Ime Udoka. This is going to be his first series that he's playing. Steve Nash has won a series before. He could have went to the conference finals last year if KD had a little less of a shoe size as well, too. The whole narrative's kind of changed. Obviously, they played last year. There was no Jaylen Brown, and they won 4-1. It took Tatum to score 50 just for them to get one game. But this Boston team has an identity. They're going to switch on everything. Everyone knows their role, and we finally see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown coexisting. They've killed that narrative. They debunked that narrative that they can't play together as well, too. It's like there's a couple people you don't kind of bet against, and I'm finding it really hard to bet against KD. Man, I'm saying it's going 7.
It better.
I love KD and Kyrie, but when Ben Simmons is going to be that wild card in the Uno deck. If Ben Simmons comes back and can give you 15, 20 minutes playing elite defense, getting everyone else involved, running that fast break, running with that second unit, I'd give the edge to the Nets in 7 on the road. I mean, that championship DNA from KD and Kyrie, you just can't teach. But seeing what's been constant this year with minimal red flags, I might give the edge to Boston to 7.
Yes, sir.
Right now, I say Boston 7. I might backtrack after you give your take. But right now, I'm going with Boston in 7 right now. I just feel like there's just been too many, weird scenarios for the Nets right now. So we'll see. We'll see. Who you got?
I got Boston in 7. Or I got Boston in 6. Let me go 6. I got Boston in 6.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sure. Kyrie and KD only gonna win 2 games?
When Kyrie or KD go to the bench, them niggas is ass. All right. It's a known fact. This defense from the Celtics, if you're switching on everything, KD's going to drop 30, Kyrie probably going to drop 20, 25, 30. Cool. But the rest of that squad isn't that nice. Granted, Seth Curry, he could turn up. Granted, Goran Dragic, he could turn up. But they have guards that can play on them, and they know how to get out on that three-point line. They switch everything. Like the Miami Heat, when they switch everything, there's always going to be like one player that doesn't get to their man. The Celtics, they know how to get to their man. They have a lot of length on that squad. They have a lot of guys that are very gritty, very sneaky on defense. Marcus Smart, could be defensive player of the year, probably third or second, I would say, behind Rudy Gobert, who doesn't deserve it, and Mikal Bridges, who probably will win it. I definitely have, if Jaylen Brown and Tatum are healthy the entire series, I have the Celtics winning in 6.
6. It's crazy.
Al Horford, I think he can guard Aldridge. I think Al Horford has been playing really well this season.
Do you think Aldridge is going to play?
What is that?
Do you think Aldridge and Blake are going to play this series?
Well, last games I've been watching, Aldridge hasn't been playing, which is weird. And they've been going to Nick Claxton. I don't think that's going to work against the Celtics. They have bigs that can guard him. They have bigs that are smart enough to guard a guy like that. Daniel Tice is smart enough to guard a guy like that. You got bigs as in Tatum. You got, like I said, Daniel Tice. You got Grant Williams. No Robert Williams, but you don't have a really big body down low that you really have to pay attention to when it comes to the Nets. I mean, Andre Drummond is a superstar, but he's not going to really do anything in this series. So, like I said, I got Celtics in 6, but I have to give props to KD and Kyrie. If it goes 7 series, if it goes for game 7, I got the Nets winning. Okay.
Yeah.
But currently, that defense and that offensive firepower where the Nets don't have any defense, I got the Celtics in 6.
Well, I got Andre Drummond being the best rebounder in this series for sure. I don't have LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin playing because Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown on that switch is gonna be nasty. So if I'm having any big on the perimeter, I'd rather go with Andre Drummond and I'd rather go with Claxton for sure. Like I said, if Ben Simmons is in the equation, now you can have KD and Ben Simmons at the 4 and 5 with Brown, Kyrie, and Seth Curry.
But
so that's gonna be interesting.
Do you think Ben Simmons coming back? Like you said, he hasn't played in a year. So like when Victor Oladipo came back, he played on minutes restriction, and then he didn't play like the next 2 games, and then he'll be off and on. Do you think he's on a minutes restriction 1? And do you think his game is just automatically going to come back? Because we don't know if he's going to be shooting. We don't know if his back injury is going to be affecting him because he's not playing at a, the Nets aren't going to be practicing at like an extreme game level. You know what I'm saying? So he's not going to have game experience and conditioning. So if he's going to be playing defense against that firepower and then getting back on offense, playing that kind of defense where they're just going to drop on him and then guard everybody else, he might be a liability. What do you think?
That's a great question. I think he's definitely going to be on a form of a minute restriction, but it's not like an Oladipo or like a Klay Thompson scenario where he had like a basically a season-ending injury. Obviously, back issues aren't something to sweep under the rug, but I can see him playing anywhere between 12 to 20 minutes, maybe 5-minute spurts each quarter. And that's what he's just going to be called upon to do, is just to guard the team's best player in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, get you rebounds, run the break. When Kyrie and KD are out or one of them's out, now you have someone who can play more off ball and create for others as well too. So I see him serving that role, and then depending on how his back feels, each game you kind of increase those minutes until he gets comfortable to play 30 to 35 minutes a night. But like I said, that's a huge wild card, and I'm not going to say anything until I kind of see him. That's why right now I'm going with the Celtics in 7. But like you said too, if there's any 2 players, if you just have one game to win, I mean, KD and Kyrie. But like I said, too many red flags right now. So I think logically I'm going with the Celtics, but in my heart, I would love to see Kyrie and KD keep this thing moving for sure. But I don't know. I may change my mind in 2 seconds. I'm kidding.
Do you think whose minutes do you think Ben Simmons takes? Because you got Patty Mills, Goran Dragic, Seth Curry. Who do you think gets less minutes? Bruce Brown.
I can see Claxton. His minutes getting reduced a little bit. And then probably, I know Edwards has been playing like 8 to 10 minutes a night lately, so I can see him taking those minutes. But Bruce Brown's going to be very, very vital. Bruce Brown's actually been playing great basketball. Like he's actually, for an undersized power forward, He plays very good. He's starting to knock down the three a little bit as well too. He does everything. He can give you 15, 6, and 6 on any given night as well too, and he plays good defense. So, like I said, I can see a lineup where they just have KD and Ben at the 4 and 5 with Brown, Kyrie, and Curry to kind of close everything out as well too. So, yeah, I see Claxton's minutes kind of going down a little bit, or even Dragic, honestly, as well too. Dragic he's still a threat offensively and can play make, but defensively with his age, he's not quite there. So I can see him taking Dragic minutes as well too, for sure.
Yeah, because Tatum and Brown are definitely gonna hunt Dragic. They're gonna hunt that lineup of Kyrie, Seth, and Dragic. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, Marcus Smart always has those games where he hit 4 or 5 threes out of nowhere. So that's going to be very, very interesting as well, too. But only time will tell, man. I hope the next time we get back on this, we talking about Ben Simmons in the good light.